My name is Eleanor Vance, and at the age of 46, I died on March 12th on my kitchen floor while holding a grocery list. I was a librarian, though not the glamorous kind seen in movies, rather a typical one working in a small Pennsylvania town. My life was predictable, and I took comfort in lists: groceries, chores, bills, you name it. David, my husband, often joked that I even had a list for making lists. We had one daughter, Chloe, who was 17 at the time, and preparing to head off to college. My main concerns revolved around her chemistry grade and whether we had saved enough for her to attend a good school. I thought of myself as just an ordinary person. Each Sunday I went to church, prayed before meals, and endeavored to be a good neighbor. Although I believed in God, he seemed distant, like a monumental figure you read about but never expect to encounter personally. On that particular morning, I was making coffee. David had already left for work, and Chloe was still asleep upstairs. As I stood at the counter, writing down milk, eggs, and bread, an intense flash of white light erupted behind my eyes. It was unlike a camera flash. Rather, it felt as if the sun had exploded within my head. There was no pain, just an overwhelming pressure, followed by complete silence. The pen slipped from my fingers, and in an instant, I found myself hovering near the ceiling, gazing down at my body crumpled between the counter and kitchen island. I noticed the grocery list lying beside my hand. Oddly, there was no sense of panic or fear. It was merely confusion, as if I were watching a movie in which I was not involved. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Everything felt remarkably serene. Moments later, I watched Chloe descend the stairs, rubbing her eyes as she asked, "Mom, are we out of cereal?" Then her gaze landed on me, and the scream that erupted from her throat was a sound no mother should ever have to hear. I observed her rush toward me, shaking my shoulders, and then frantically grabbing the phone, her hands trembling as she dialed 911. All that filled my heart was a profound, quiet sadness for her. I yearned to reach out and reassure her that everything was all right, but I was unable to. Instead, I floated there, a spectator to the unfolding tragedy. The kitchen began to dissolve, and the sounds of Chloe's cries and the approaching sirens softened, as if someone was gently lowering the volume on the world. The room did not darken. Instead, it transformed into a soothing gray mist, reminiscent of a thick morning fog. There was no fear. The sensation felt remarkably natural, like I belonged there. I was adrift in this infinite, tranquil gray with no up or down, no passage of time. I have no way of knowing how long I existed in that state. It could have been a second or perhaps a century. Then the stillness altered. Instead of a light appearing, it was as though the silence itself had gained a heartbeat, a deep, resonant hum, not audible through ears, but felt within the innermost depths of my being. The gray mist did not part, but rather transformed, gradually infused with a hue I had never encountered before on earth. It resembled the profound blue of twilight tinged with the warm gold of candlelight, and it was alive. In the core of that vibrant color was a presence. It was Jesus. No long white robe, no glowing halo, just a presence. His form radiated that exquisite and impossible color, but took the shape of a man. The most overwhelming aspect was not what I saw, but what I felt. The atmosphere around him, a term I could loosely use, vibrated with perfect peace. All my worries, every list I had crafted, and every fear I had clung to simply evaporated. It did not feel as if he was gazing at me. Rather, it felt as if he was perceiving the world through my own memories. He did not need to inquire about my name. His very presence was a declaration. "I know you, Eleanor." He did not merely know my secrets and love me in spite of them. He understood the rationale behind every secret, the hope that accompanied every mistake, and the sorrow linked to every harsh word. He witnessed the narrative he had written, not simply the lines I had blurred. Within his presence, I felt only the authenticity of that narrative, a narrative of love. Tears I had not known I could shed streamed down my cheeks. I was not sad. I was utterly undone, overwhelmed by a love that defied logic. His voice was not an audible sound, but rather a thought that materialized in my mind. It was serene, loaded with the weight of eternity. "Eleanor," he said, simply addressing my name, In that single utterance, I felt every moment of my life held in his care. He regarded me with unfathomable love and spoke, "Everyone comes here with questions for me, but on the day of judgment, it is I who will have questions for you." 3 questions. For a fleeting moment, a flicker of old earthly fear coursed through me. An exam. I had always harbored anxieties about tests. He sensed this apprehension, and a deeper peace enveloped me, washing the fear away. "They are not tests to pass or fail," he conveyed, his thoughts wrapping round me with comfort. "They are measures of the heart. The answers are found in how you have lived." Suddenly, he revealed the first question to me. The gray surroundings began to swirl, and I was transported to a scene from my life, standing in my living room, maybe at the age of 35. David entered, holding a bouquet of my favorite flowers, yellow tulips. It was neither my birthday nor our anniversary. He was simply smiling and offering them to me. I watched as I accepted them, hearing my own voice say, "Oh, David, you shouldn't have. We need to save money." I noticed the flicker of light dim in his eyes. He merely wished to love me, and I had provided him a reason not to. The scene shifted to my work at the library, where a new hire told me she admired how I organized the children's section. "You inspire me," she said. I merely brushed off her compliment with the words, "Oh, anyone could do it. It's nothing special." I stole the joy from her praise because I felt unworthy of it. The scenes continued, revealing friends offering to support me during illness, and I responded with, "I'm fine, I can manage," even though my mother told me I was a wonderful daughter. Again, I changed the subject. As visions faded, I found myself before him once more. His presence was not one of condemnation, but rather ireniness. He was illuminating a truth I had never comprehended. Once again, his thought pierced my mind. The first question, "Did you learn to receive love?" Tears welled in my eyes. I had spent my entire life striving to earn love, trying to be good enough, helpful enough, worthy enough. I believed the goal was to give love, serve, and act for others. Yet, I had failed to recognize that part of the journey included allowing others to love me, allowing God's love to flow through them. In constructing so many walls to prove my strength, I had rejected the most profound gift. Receiving love is an act of humility, a statement that I am deserving of kindness, not due to my actions, but because of my inherent worth. I had neglected that truth, unaware it was part of the test. I knew not what to say. I simply wept. He granted me a moment to let the truth sink into my soul before the space swirled once more. This time, the vision darkened. I saw myself in my early 20s, working in a bookstore, saving for my librarian certification. My cruel boss belittled me publicly, overlooked my deserving promotion, and awarded it to his nephew instead. I recalled the bitterness and the anger I harbored for years, an ugly, burdensome stone I clung to. The scene shifted again. I was in the library years later. A young man approached, asking for assistance with his resume. He exuded nervousness, sharing he had just been let go from his job. "My boss was unfair," he said. "I was bullied." I watched myself hand over the resume book, gesture toward the computer, and then walk away, preoccupied by my own busy to-do list. Yet, Jesus revealed to me what I could not see at that time. He opened my eyes to the young man's heart, his shame and fear, as well as my own heart, still trapped by that old stone of bitterness. I realized that my own pain that mirrored his, could have served as a bridge between us. I could have looked him in the eye and said, "I understand how that feels. It is not your fault. You will be okay." I could have transformed my past wounds into healing for him, yet I did not. I had kept my pain locked away as if it were my exclusive burden. As the vision faded, I gazed at the Lord, heart aching with regret. His gentle yet clear voice returned with the second question, "What did you do with the pain?" The weight of this question hit me forcefully. I had always viewed pain as a punishment, something to simply endure or survive. Never had I considered it a tool, a gift. He was revealing to me that every hurt, every injustice, and every moment of suffering allowed into my life served as an opportunity, a key to unlock someone else's heart. The purpose of my pain was not for my own benefit, but meant to be shared, to become a source of empathy, compassion, and connection. I realized I had squandered that opportunity by merely surviving it. My head hung low as shame washed over me, but his presence would not permit the shame to linger. His love washed over me like water cleansing me of all I held. He was not angry, but a teacher guiding me through a lesson I needed to grasp. He granted me another moment before the scenery shifted one final time. This time, I witnessed countless moments, small, insignificant instances. I was at the grocery store, standing in line. The cashier appeared exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. I simply swiped my card, grabbed my bags, and hurried away, consumed by thoughts of dinner. I was walking in the park and noticed an elderly man sitting alone on a bench, staring vacantly into space. He seemed so lonely, and I felt a gentle nudge in my spirit, a tiny whisper urging me to say hello. I brushed it aside, assuring myself it would be awkward, and that he likely preferred solitude. In my own home, Chloe was trying to express her frustrations about a friend. She was visibly upset, and while I nodded as she spoke, I found my mind wandering to laundry, bills, and the leaky faucet. I remember telling her, "Honey, it will all blow over," rather than simply being present and listening to her heart. In each of these moments, Jesus showed me something I had overlooked. He was there. He dwelled in the tired eyes of the cashier, the loneliness of the old man on the bench, and in the worried voice of my daughter. He was concealed, waiting to be found in all the ordinary people I passed by daily. He presented me with countless chances to meet him. The vision paused, and I stood before him, finally comprehending. Throughout my life, I had sought God in monumental moments, in heartfelt sermons and dramatic answers to prayers. Yet I had inadvertently walked past him every single day. He then asked the third and final question, "Did you show them me?" He did not mean, "Did you hand them a Bible?" or "Did you invite them to church?" His inquiry focused on the small moments, whether I demonstrated his patience to the slow driver ahead of me, whether I offered kindness to an irritating colleague, or whether I simply provided presence to a loved one in need of a listening ear. He was asking if my life reflected, however subtly, his heart. I had no response. All I could do was cry, not out of fear of punishment, but from sorrow over all the opportunities I had missed and the precious moments wasted. I looked into his eyes and uttered my first words to him. "I am so sorry. I did not know. I simply did not know." His luminous presence seemed to envelop me more warmly. He was not a judge wielding a gavel, rather, he was a father whose child had finally comprehended the lessons I needed to learn. "This is why I came, Eleanor," he conveyed, filling my being with thoughts so that all who are unaware can know. All who feel lost can be found. An overwhelming sense of relief washed over me. This was it. This was heaven. To be known, to be forgiven, to be taught. I never wanted to depart. "Please," I whispered, "let me stay. I do not wish to return. Life down there is so difficult. I am so weary." He drew nearer, and for the first time I felt an embrace. It was not a physical embrace, but a sensation of being entirely cradled, utterly safe. "Your daughter is calling for you," he spoke softly. "She has yet to learn how to live without her mother. You must go back and impart to her what I have revealed to you. Teach her how to receive love, show her how to handle her pain, and in every day and each small moment reflect me to her. That is your work now." The sadness of departing was profound. It felt like a physical ache. My desire to argue, to plead, was strong, yet deep down, I recognized he was correct. My mission remained unfinished. "It will not be easy," he seemed to sense, responding to my thoughts, "but you will not be alone. I will be with you." He regarded me one final time, and in that moment, I felt a promise that this peace and love awaited my return. This was my true home. As the beautiful colors began to fade and the sensation of being held receded, the tranquil silence transformed into a rushing sound akin to wind. A powerful pull tugged me backward away from him, back into the gray fog. Suddenly I gasped. The gasp was startling. It was loud and painful, sending a shock through my chest as if struck by lightning. A bright, sterile light blinded my eyes, the incessant beeping. Oh, how deafening it was. So many machines were surrounding me. "She's back," someone shouted. We have a pulse." My head throbbed with an excruciating pain, urging me to scream. I felt hands on me, a mask over my face. I attempted to speak, but only a croak escaped my lips. As I opened my eyes, I was met with the astonished faces of paramedics, doctors, and nurses looking down at me with disbelief. I found myself in the hospital. Later, I learned what had occurred: an unexpected massive brain aneurysm. They informed me that I had been clinically dead for 23 minutes. The paramedics had been prepared to pronounce me dead, and my doctor, a man of science, could offer no explanation for my miraculous return. He had an even harder time explaining my lack of brain damage, using the term miracle repeatedly. I merely nodded in silence, thinking how could I convey that I had just completed the final exam of life and had been sent back to study for it. When I finally saw David and Chloe, I embraced them tightly, tears streaming down my face. However, this time when they professed their love for me, I did not dismiss it. I looked into their eyes and declared, "I love you too. I am so grateful for your love. I have finally received it. I have allowed it to penetrate my heart." Now, I share this with you. My life has changed dramatically. I'm not a perfect person, not by a long shot. I still maintain lists. However, my priorities have shifted because I now know that one day I will stand in that peaceful place again, and he will be there, ready to ask me those 3 questions. They are not terrifying because they stem from anger. Rather, they evoke concern over all the opportunities we have missed. I urge you to consider these questions seriously. Are you learning to receive love, both from God and from those around you? Or are you constructing barriers with pride and a desire to appear strong? Allow the love to enter. It is a gift He is attempting to share through the hands of others. Next, how are you handling your pain? Are you hoarding it, letting it foster bitterness within you? Or are you utilizing it as a bridge to connect with someone else who is suffering? Your deepest wounds can lead to your most significant ministry. Do not squander your sorrows. Lastly, are you reflecting Him in the daily moments, even the small overlooked ones? Are you exhibiting His patience to the slow driver ahead? Are you displaying His kindness to the colleague who frustrates you? When someone feels lonely, are you providing His presence by simply listening? He does not ask you to be a preacher. He requests that you be a mirror. Heaven is real, and the love you experience there surpasses anything imaginable. Yet we are not meant to wait until we arrive to embody those answers. The questions are posed now to allow us to begin living those answers today. Do not wait. Please do not.